Welcome to Merriam's Online Academy. Today we're learning Lost Boy. I really like this piece and my students have often come to me asking to learn it, so I thought I would do a video here for you guys. To follow along with the sheet music that I'm using, you can purchase it by following the link in the description below. Alright, so this is Lost Boy. We're going to start with the first verse. So the first verse goes from the very beginning of the piece right up until here, so up until measure 17. I'm going to play that for you and then we can talk about it. And we'll stop there. So that's the introduction to this piece. The very first verse, there's no kind of preface to it. We jump right into where the singer begins. So let's take a look at how it's constructed. We have a key signature of 1 sharp, so you can always be looking out for those F sharps all the way through. And then after that, we have a time signature of 6/8. Now 6/8 time isn't too tricky. It's pretty straightforward. Basically, you're counting 6/8 notes in a bar. So what that means is we will be counting 1, 2, 3 for each 8th note, and then when you get to a quarter note, it's worth 2 8th notes, so we would give it 2 counts, 4, 5, and then 6 for the last 8th note, and you would go through all the way just counting like that. We have right here a dotted quarter note, so this would mean we have 3 beats on 1 note. So I'll just fill in the rest of this counting and you can see how it's structured. So I'll play it for you now and I'll count as I go and you can follow with the counting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then that counting would just continue all the way through. In fact, it continues all the way right up until where I stopped. There is one extra spot I would like to point out though with the counting that's a little tricky, and it's these 2 bars. Right here, bars 9 and 10, we have this tied over the bar line. So this is a very, very, very popular rhythm in pop music, and it's not too surprising that it shows up here. How you do it is you would count normally as you were in the first couple bars, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then the left hand in bar 10 plays beat 1, but the right hand does not play. It picks up on beat 2, 3, and then it's all the same from there. So let me show you how that sounds. I'll play it up to speed, half tempo, and then up to speed one more time. 1, 2, 3. Okay, now half speed. And one more time. And there you have it. That's the basics for all of the counting in this first section. So even on the top line of the second page here, you can see it's all the same. Okay, so now that we've mastered the counting, let's look at the actual notes. The beginning of this piece starts very low in the right-hand register. It's dipping way below middle C, and some of these notes, these ledger lines, are kind of difficult to read. So let's just go over them quickly. We start on a B, which is the first ledger line under C, the first space under. And then after that, it goes to this note, which is 3 spaces below the staff. So it's going to be a G. Now, if this is a hard note to read for you, make it easier on yourself and just write in the note. It's okay to write hints. Now, if you're writing in every single note, well, maybe that's an opportunity for you to practice reading. But when we have really hard notes to read, like super low ledger lines or super high ledger lines, it's always a good idea to play the note, figure it out, and then write it in. So there's our G. We're gonna keep going. Here's our B again. And then there's our G, and in between it, you can see we've just added an A. So scanning through the rest of the piece, it's all pretty much the same notes. Here we jump up an octave, which we'll get to in a second. But yeah, that's the basics. Okay, so now we know the rhythm, now we know the notes. Let's check out the fingering. So the great thing about this edition of music, this arrangement, is that it includes all the fingering. So what we want to do is we want to pay special attention to that fingering because it's going to give us the easiest way to play the piece. That's why they write fingering. They give it to us to help us. So let's start with the beginning. I'm going to just play the first 4 bars for you. All right, now let's look at the fingering. So left hand starts 1 and 3, which goes to 4, which goes to 5, and then we have a jump down to G and D. So that's pretty straightforward. Right hand does something kind of similar. It stays in one place, it moves for a quick second, and then it goes back. So we can start 2 on B. Then, in this bar, this is where we have to move. Instead of playing 2 on B, we're going to do 3, then back to 2 on B. And then continuing from there, 1 on B, so you can see as we go through, there's just fingering everywhere. And I could take the time to go through it all with you, but I would really encourage you to do it on your own, because as long as you're reading the notes carefully and following the fingering, you'll be able to find this in no time. It'll be no problem. All right, so let's just jump now to the last bar, or the second last bar on this page. We start with pinky on D, so you'll notice we have moved a little bit, and C and G in the right hand, oh sorry, the left hand. So here we go. I'm going to play from where my arrow is over the page. So if you were watching carefully, you'll notice that I jumped an octave. So we started kind of in this area of the piano. As soon as we turned the page, the arrangers got a little fancy and they decided they got bored of this range of the piano, so they're going to jump up to the next octave. So you just have to be ready for it. As soon as you turn that page, be ready to put your finger 1 on B, and it's very similar to the form that we had over on this side, but we're just an octave higher now. So I'll play it one more time for you and you can follow and see where I make that jump. So starting from my purple arrow. And there's your first section. So let me play that first section for you one more time before we move on. right, we've made it through the first verse. Let's look into this next section. We're going to start from where my little double bar lines are, so right here, and I'm going to play right up until here. So it's a shorter section from before. Let's see what it sounds like. I'm going to leave you hanging there. All right, so this is kind of the funky portion of the piece, kind of a fun little change from what we've done before. You'll notice the very first thing that changes is our time signature. So we go from 6/8 to 4/4. And then within that 4/4, we turn into a swing rhythm. So basically what a swing rhythm does is it takes straight eighth notes or a straight rhythm and puts a little swing on it. So instead of playing something like this, where I'm playing straight eighth notes, I turn these into long, short passages. So in this piece, whenever you see a set of eighth notes, either as a group of 4 or a group of 2, you're going to turn them into long, short. So for instance, in our first bar, we go 1, 2, 3, and 4. But with a swing, it would be like this. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. So let me play the first 4 bars or so for you as an example, and you can kind of see how this rhythm works. So the swing rhythm really is the hardest element of this section. Otherwise, it's pretty straightforward. We do have to watch the fingering again, and the notes do dip a little further down and a little higher up, but otherwise it's pretty straightforward. So let's go through it kind of slowly. Left hand starts E and B, and then the pinky dips in the next bar to D, and then we have some more fifths starting on C, and then back up to G. With our right hand, we have a fifth, but we use 1 and 4. And then single notes, and still single notes and more fifths, so let's play it. Here we go, kind of slow. 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2. All right, so let's do it one more time and then we'll move on to the next couple bars. All right, and the very last portion of this section here, we have a 7th in the left hand, and then a broken up 7th in the next bar. So here's our 7th. Here's broken up and we add an E, and then we end with a 3rd. The right hand is a little more complicated. So we are coming from this, 5 and 3. The next note is a D. D is between 5 and 3, and we have to put our thumb there. So it's a little bit of finger acrobatics, but not too bad as long as you're ready for it. So 5, 3, 1, 4, 2, and then straight forward from there on. So hands together, it would look like this. And a little slower one more time. The very last bar of this section, right here. This is a D triad, just broken up, nice and easy for us. So if you know your triads, you'll know that there are 3 skips apart. And for a D major triad, we've got the F sharp in the middle. So we go, and then with the pedal, we would just hold the pedal down. And then you're into your next section. All right, and the last bar in this piece is just a D major triad. So if you remember your triads, they're 3 skips apart, and in a D major triad, you have an F sharp in the middle. Both hands play the same thing. Watch out for the right hand though, it has some different fingering. Instead of 1, 3, 5, it's 1, 2, 4. And then the other thing about this bar that you have to watch out for is that instead of swing 8s like we've been doing, we go back to the straight 8s. So instead of playing this bar like this, we go back to regular. So I'll play it one more time for you nice and slow just so you can see how that pattern goes. Remember, 5, 3, 1 in the left hand, 1, 2, 4 in the right hand, straight 8s. And that's the whole section. So why don't I play it one more time for you? All right, and we're finally into the chorus of this piece. So it goes from this kind of soft double bar line here, over the page, right up to here. So let's play from the beginning of this section, and I'll play over the page to the end. And we'll save the very ending. All right, so the neat thing again about this arrangement is that we get to change octaves all the time and change where we're playing the melody. And that's kind of a neat thing when you're playing a vocal piece on the piano, is you get to kind of play around with who gets to sing it, which hand and where. So in this section, we start with the left hand playing the melody. So let's look at that first. We have 3 on B, starting right here. And we have the melody. And then the right hand takes over. So the right hand, when the melody is in the left hand, is playing just very simple chords. So we start with an E minor chord, and then half of an E minor chord. And then this is a C chord. It's in an inversion, so it looks a little different. Make sure 2's on the G. And then back to B and G. And hands together, it would sound like this. Now I'll play that one more time for you slowly. All right, so the left hand takes the melody up to there. Then the right hand gets to take over again. So I'm going to play from where the right hand takes over, right over the page. So just like we had a simple accompaniment in the right hand when the left hand had the melody, now it's just swapped. So our left hand takes on these half note pulses. And then our right hand plays the melody. So let me put that together one more time for you at a slower pace. And I paused because the next portion of this piece has a changing clef. So you'll notice right here in the half bar we have this treble clef. So our left hand has to come up over middle C into the treble clef line, and it stays there until we see the bass clef sign again. So I'm going to start from right here, right on that left hand. Our left hand is on G and D down here. And then it has to jump all the way up to the top G in the right hand in the treble clef line. So it'll look like this. And then we're quite close together, but then our right hand jumps up to here, to the top G, and we play up here for a while. And if you were watching closely, you'll notice when my left hand jumped back to the bass clef. So right after when they go, then we go back to bass clef. All right? So I'll play it one more time for you. You can see how that works, starting from my purple arrow. And now we play the same pattern that we just did with our left hand, the E, G, D, G, C, G, but we play it down here. Right hand plays exactly the same thing. And that's the end of that section. So let me play it one more time all the way through for you. Now we have the very ending of the piece, the catch line, "Neverland is home to lost boys like me." So let me play it for you. All right, so again, pretty simple. Left hand does this little stepwise motion, starting with a third, then a fourth, then a fifth. And then the very last bar, we have a spread chord, an open chord, meaning that it goes further than an octave. We play G, D, and then we have to stretch all the way up to the B. So it would look like this. All right, and then the right hand really only has 3 notes with a couple extras. Starts with B, D, G, and then we sneak in an E and an A. You'll see. Here we go. Kind of at a slower tempo. Then you'll notice at the very end, we have a repeat an octave higher sign, so I'm going to repeat it for you, an octave higher. right, so that's the end of this piece. Let me play it for you one more time. I'll do it in the regular octave and also with the repeat. There you go. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Be sure to check out my performance video of this piece, as well as my pro tips for how to really make this piece sound amazing.
Hey everyone, thanks for watching Merriam's Online Academy. Check back here for more videos and don't forget to subscribe below.